Hello everybody and welcome back. Today we're going to be looking at a Datapack RPG Loot, Mobs, and Dungeons by Michael9r9r. So this Datapack includes all sorts of different RPG features for your world, including loot, mobs, and even dungeons. These all feature different randomization techniques, such as the ones used in Borderlands or Torchlight. So the first feature we're going to be looking at is the different items. So these items will have a chance to spawn in all sorts of vanilla structures, as well as the new custom dungeons. When each one of them is going to spawn, they each have different rarities. So the uncommon items, the lowest tier, has a 66.2% chance of spawning. And these items generally have lower stats, but will spawn with enchantments, and the stats are still pretty useful, such as the knockback resistance added from the shield, or this extra attack damage added from the sword. The next tier of items is rare items, which will have a 26.5% chance of spawning. These items have higher stat bonuses than the last one, and will feature many different things, including max health and knockback resistance. These RPG modifiers even reach out to non-combat related items, increasing stuff such as luck and speed. Our next category is very rare items, which spawn 6.6% of the time, making them very rare. These items have much higher stat bonuses and are definitely going to see a considerable increase in your combat abilities, which will be very necessary for taking on these mobs. Legendary items spawn 0.07% of the time, meaning that if you want to find one of these, you're probably not going to find it in one of the regular loot tables. You'll probably have to find it from one of the higher tier loot tables, again, from these mobs. These will increase your speed and attack speed and all of those stats by massive amounts, and the shields are even unbreakable. In fact, all of these items are unbreakable. Not only are the RPG items that you find changed, but so are the base items. They made sure to balance them out so that there's specific pros and cons so that Diamond isn't always the best. An example of this would be Diamond has higher base stats, obviously, but it doesn't have any real speed attribute buffs, and you will be very slow while wearing it. Stuff like Leather, on the other hand, is pretty much the opposite. It makes you very fast and has better enchants, but it's weak and has no knockback protection. So the next bit that we'll be looking at is the mobs that the Datapack adds. So these mobs will have a 5% chance of spawning whenever a mob is going to spawn in the world. And these will replace zombies, skeletons, spiders, husks, even stuff like blazes will be replaced. So these have different tiers, which are pretty much the same as their respective item tiers. So uncommon would be veteran, elite would be rare, and so on and so forth. So these mobs have higher stat bonuses and will deal a tough punch. However, when killed, they'll drop much better items. So for an example of this, I'm going to fight this veteran zombie. Let's take this out into survival mode. Alright. So you'll notice that when it's hitting me, it's still dealing a whole heart of damage despite the fact that I'm wearing full iron. And when taking hits, it takes a lot. These will drop different items such as bottles of enchanting, which before were very hard to get in regular Minecraft, and will drop the new uncommon and rare items that I was showcasing earlier. Now, as these mobs get higher tiers, their damages and difficulty increases significantly. As you can see, when I get hit by the skeleton in full iron, I take 1.5 to 2 hearts of damage, which is pretty significant. Now, moving on to how you can find these, if you don't want to just wander around the world and hope that you get that 5% chance of them spawning, you can summon these mobs yourself. All you have to do is use an anvil to rename a piece of crying obsidian to sacrifice, and that if you throw it onto the ground, will spawn a veteran to a legendary tier mob. So these 4. However, if you do this with an ancient debris, that'll spawn a unique legendary mob, which will have better loot, but be even more challenging than the legendary mobs. Let's show an example of that real quick. So this is Hordair the Vikinger. And as we can see, if we get hit by him, I'm already on 3 hearts, so it's pretty much an instant kill. The final aspect of the data pack that we'll be going over is the dungeons. These custom dungeons you'll have to summon yourself, as so far there is no way for them to naturally spawn. But these can be summoned pretty easily. All you've got to do is take a diamond pickaxe and put in the anvil and rename it Ancient Excavator. And that will get you a tier 1 to 2 level dungeon. Now if you want a tier 3 dungeon, which will be even more challenging but have higher rewards, you'll have to do that with a netherite pickaxe. So just to show you an example of what this will look like, I'll take this pickaxe and we'll summon a dungeon right now. So nothing spawns on the surface, but if we were to go to spectator mode and go underground, then we'll see a pretty small dungeon has spawned. And you'll notice it has all sorts of different mob spawners, which are a nice, neat way to create all sorts of different opportunities for mob farms. And if we're to go around this place, which is pretty well lit up, we'll see that this specific dungeon doesn't appear to have any of the extra loot, which is unfortunate. Also, it's completely lit up, so this dungeon is probably a tier 1 dungeon and is pretty... Oh, actually, there is a section with chests. Alright, so let's go check out these chests real quick. Nice, so we can see there's very rare items and rare items, meaning that this is a place that you'll be more likely to get higher rarity stuff. And you can get just regular dungeon loot as well. And yeah, we can see that through all the chests. So these different dungeons are certainly a unique and interesting way to add a dungeon crawling experience to Minecraft, which before would have to be reached through different adventure maps and the like. And we can see it spawning all sorts of different mobs, including slimes. And yeah, it just is a super interesting experience. And if we were to go and instead spawn a tier 3 dungeon, we'd see probably a significantly larger one. Yeah. So we can see this one's even themed differently. And there's tons of different themes so that it will never get boring. This dungeon's even made mostly of bedrock, which means that trying to cheese your way through the dungeon into the loot rooms would be pretty impossible. Now, these dungeons will have harder mobs, but better loot. This chest only has uncommon items, but overall, they do have better loot. And really make a good experience trying to explore these. We can see even types of potions that would never normally spawn in Minecraft, such as resistance potions, and potions of dexterity. The RPG Loot Data Pack is a super cool way to add different randomness and variety to your Minecraft world. And you can give it a try yourself. All you've got to do is go into the description where I've linked the Planet Minecraft page, and from there, all you need to do is click the download button and copy that into the data pack folder of your Minecraft world. And this can be done server side, so the players playing your server won't even have to download anything. And there's no required resource pack or anything like that whatsoever. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.